Hello, good morning. Today is a brand new Sunday, and that means that it is also a day for a new Mira video. Today I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different. So as you know, on Saturdays we have gaming with Mira, and then on Sundays we either have a cover or you had manga with Mira. We've done 2 episodes so far, but I also wanted to try out this series. It's going to be mental health with Mira, and I'm going to be discussing little tidbits, little pieces of knowledge that I have accumulated over the years through my personal experience and through my own life that I have learned, and that I think would benefit others if I shared it. So today I want to share about something called the spoon theory. And in general, this is a way that is commonly used by either the neurodivergent community or those with chronic illness in order to help to measure or quantify or evaluate their mental or physical bandwidth or energy in order to do things throughout the day or go through their day. So I was actually explaining this to a friend the other day, and when I mentioned that it was used by the neurodivergent community, it was also brought to my attention about the fact that the neurodivergent community also has a fascination with spoons. This could be using a very specific type or shaped spoon in order for them to eat certain meals or them for use in everyday life. But this is a different kind of spoon. This is more of a what's the word? It's more of a metaphor. No, it's not like a real spoon. I forget the word. If I remember the word, I will put it on the screen. But as of right now, it's just a way for us to visualize mentally how we go through the day. It's not the physical spoon. That's a separate thing. But to explain it, I like to use a example, which I'm going to get into in a second, and it would help to make it easier for people who are not neurodivergent or people with chronic illness. Those who are not neurodivergent, we typically call neurotypical instead of using quote unquote normal, because that offends the neurodivergent community because they're seen as abnormal, etc., etc. Not trying to step on any toes here, just explaining the terms. So if you hear me saying neurodivergent, aka also neurospicy or neurotypical, this is what I mean. So imagine that at the beginning of the day, once we wake up, we are all allotted 10 spoons, right? And throughout the day, we use these spoons in order to complete different tasks. So say a quote-unquote normal or neurotypical person would wake up, wash up, change, go to the bathroom, make breakfast even, all these things, and they are going to work. So all of that would take maybe 2 spoons, right? So they're at 8 now. So they go to work, they go through their work day, and they are on the commute home. That takes another maybe 3 spoons, right? So after the work day, because they've already used 5 spoons, they have 5 spoons that are left over that they can use for whatever activities they want. This could be making dinner for themselves at home, or it could be going to a bar with friends, or it could be hanging out with people outside, doing an activity, going on dates, going to the gym. Did I say that already? You get what I mean. It's for different activities that you can use. Now, a neurodivergent person or a neurospicy person or somebody with chronic illness, When they wake up in the day, they also wake up with 10 spoons. However, getting out of bed takes up a spoon. Maybe brushing up and washing their face and brushing their teeth and all of these cleanup actions take another spoon. Changing takes another spoon. Making sure they have themselves fed or that they have their bag packed and they go through their whole checklist before they even leave the house. That's another spoon. This is already 3 spoons that they're using and they haven't even left the house yet, right? So they go to work, they go through their work day, and then they're on the way home. And so that whole time span, depending on how rough the work day is for them, could take another, maybe, let's say like 4, 5 spoons, right? So at the minimum, right, the morning took 3 spoons, so they're starting at 7. And then throughout the day, they use another 5 spoons, so they only have, math, that's only 2 spoons left for the rest of the day. So a neurotypical person has 5 or 6 spoons left over at the end of the day that they can use, but a neurodivergent person only has 2. Now, you can already see how even just with quote-unquote budgeting these, you are already at a loss of how many things you can do throughout the day at the end of work. So a neurodivergent person might only be able to, make dinner, get themselves a drink, go to bed, right? Or might only be able to go to the gym, maybe take their dog on a walk, go to bed. The quote-unquote normal or neurotypical person can go to the gym, walk their dog, meet with friends, go out for a drink, and then go home. That's, 4 more things that you might say they have more bandwidth. So this not only helps to explain to others how it's different between neurotypical or quote-unquote normal people and how neurodivergent or quote-unquote neurospicy people take on their day, but also it explains the amount of thought and effort that we have to put into our daily schedule. So days that normal people can do things on the fly or spontaneously have to be carefully budgeted by people who have either these chronic illnesses or are neurodivergent, because we have less spoons to work with, so we have to be careful with how we use them. This can also help to explain to people who are, just a little more closed-minded on how people have different levels of energy throughout the day depending on, the more invisible things that we can't see, right? So I'm not sure if anyone else has been venting about their day and how they're just so tired, and you hear somebody go, oh, well, I can do it, so if I can do it, you can do it, right? But in some cases, that's not really how it works, because sure, person A can do it, but they have 5 spoons left in the day, so they have those 5 spoons worth of things that they can do. Person B is only working with 2 spoons, so how can they do 5 spoons of tasks if they only have 2, right? So if you're looking at it with a more visual aspect to it, or a more, you can even hold up spoons physically for them to be able to understand it better, but this is just a way that you can help to try to explain it to friends or family, or to children even, or even to your partner, that would help them to understand that you need to know how to schedule your day, or to balance the amount of tasks or responsibilities you have throughout the day in order to spread it out the most efficiently, in order for you to have the most amount of spoons left at the end of the day. Or sometimes when you would say, oh, well, I had fun yesterday, or I went out yesterday, so that means that for the rest of the week I can't go out because I'm recovering those spoons. Because say somebody who is neurodivergent or has the chronic illness used all 10 spoons, right? But they still have these responsibilities that they can't just pass off or cancel. So they have to go into a deficit of spoons. So in order to build up those spoons again, what they have to do, they have to hold back for the rest of the week so that they can build those back up in order to use them again. So if this sounds like you, or sounds like somebody you know, you can consider using it as a way to visualize how people go through their day differently. And it can even help you to understand and empathize or sympathize with them in order to just be a little kinder to either yourself or whoever you may know who is struggling with this. It can also even be a cute way to kind of check in with your person, whether it's with a kid or family, friends. You can just, even really quick, it doesn't have to be a serious, oh well, where do you think you are at right now with your emotional or physical bandwidth, or how are you feeling, how's your conditions doing, right? It could just be a simple, oh, how many spoons do you have? Or if if you want to even be a quote unquote a cool kid, you can even just send an emoji of a spoon with a question mark, and then you and that person will know, oh, they're asking how many spoons I have. So you can send back like, oh, 2 spoons, 3 spoons, 8 spoons, whatever you feel like you are at throughout the day. And it can help you to understand and compromise or work around whatever you need to do, especially if you're living with said person and you have to find out like household responsibilities or whatever other things that you may be in charge of. I hopefully in editing I will be adding some images here, but I'm also going to be putting some links up on the screen and also in the description that will help to explain this a little bit better, because I'm sure some of you may have never heard of it before. But yeah, if you have any other questions, you can also leave them down in the comments. And if you have any other topics you might want me to discuss, then please do let me know. This is going to be a shorter video, I think. But I think it would be a good little chunk of knowledge for us to discuss every now and then, But yeah, so I will let you guys go there, and hopefully I will have another one of these soon, because I think this is really fun and I think it's a great way for us to round out our knowledge a little bit more, But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!